I stand frozen in the corner of Luna's engagement party, watching the scene unfold like I'm peering through someone else's eyes. The Napa Valley Vineyard estate glows golden in the late afternoon sun, casting warm light across faces that have known me my entire life. Crystal glasses filled with champagne catch the light, transforming ordinary moments into something that almost looks magical if you don't look too closely. Daniel's fingers find mine, squeezing gently as my father taps his silver spoon against his glass. The delicate chime silences the room immediately. Next to me, Daniel shifts his weight, his shoulder pressing reassuringly against mine. He knows what these family gatherings cost me. Friends, colleagues, loved ones. My father begins, his voice carrying that particular timbre that commands attention in boardrooms and family dinners alike. Eleanor and I couldn't be prouder to celebrate Luna's engagement to James. Luna beams from her place beside James, her eyes shining with expectation. At 29, my little sister still possesses that quality of breathless anticipation I lost somewhere in my 30s. The room shifts forward slightly, business associates and family friends leaning in. My mother stands beside my father, her diamond earrings catching the light each time she turns her head, to smile adoringly at Luna. But we have another announcement to make tonight, Father continues, his voice warming with pride. As a wedding gift to our daughter, Eleanor and I are giving Luna 15% ownership in White Family Trucking. The air leaves my lungs in a silent rush. Beside me, Daniel's grip tightens painfully. Mother steps forward, her perfectly manicured hand resting on Father's arm. The paperwork was finalized last week, she adds, her voice sweet with satisfaction. This 15% stake is worth $1.2 million. The room erupts in applause. I watch business associates nodding approvingly, family friends exchanging impressed glances. My smile feels carved onto my face as the room blurs slightly at the edges. $1.2 million. For Luna, my sister who has never worked a day at the family business. Stay calm, Daniel whispers, his lips barely moving. I'm right here. When the applause dies down, I find myself moving forward, my body operating on autopilot. Luna's arms wrap around me, her expensive perfume enveloping me as she hugs me tightly. Can you believe it? She whispers, and I hear genuine excitement in her voice. I never expected anything like this. Congratulations, I hear myself say, the word mechanical but convincing enough. I've had years of practice at sounding sincere while swallowing disappointment. My parents accept praise from their guests, my father's hand clasped firmly on James's shoulder as he welcomes him to the family not just as a son-in-law but as a future business partner. The implications hang in the air, unspoken but unmistakable. A memory surfaces, sharp and sudden. My own wedding 7 years ago, unwrapping the kitchen appliance my parents had given us. You'll need this for work, Mother had said, as if a coffee maker was an appropriate gift for their firstborn daughter who had just married. No business shares, no inheritance discussion. Just practical kitchenware for the daughter they expected to make her own way. Daniel guides me to a quiet corner, concern etched across his face. You okay? He asks, keeping his voice low. I feel my practiced smile crack slightly at the edges. Not here, I whisper back. Not now. The evening progresses with excruciating slowness. James raises his glass in a toast, his voice carrying across the room. To joining such a generous family, he says, eyes bright with genuine gratitude. The guests murmur appreciatively, and I catch fragments of conversations as I move through the crowd. Substantial gift, says someone to my right. Smart business move, adds another. Luna's always been their pride and joy, whispers an older woman to her husband, not realizing I'm within earshot. Across the room, Sarah catches my eye, her worried glance communicating volumes. We've been friends since childhood, and she's witnessed every instance of my parents' favoritism toward Luna. She raises an eyebrow in silent question. Are you all right? I give her a small nod, not trusting myself to do more. Daniel returns to my side with a glass of water, standing close enough that our arms touch. His presence anchors me as I make small talk with family friends who haven't bothered to ask about my recent promotion or the patent application that could transform cybersecurity protocols in banking systems. Something shifts inside me as I watch Luna accept congratulations, as I see my parents bask in the approval of their peers. A lifetime of moments crystallizes into clarity. This won't pass like previous hurts. This is too public, too significant to swallow down and ignore. As the party winds down, my phone lights up with a notification. Luna has posted to her social media. Officially a millionaire. Blessed. family business. Daniel watches my face as I stare at the screen, his eyes steady and understanding. The last guests filter out into the cooling evening air as thunder rumbles in the distance, nature providing the perfect backdrop for my simmering emotions. This ends tonight, I say quietly, and for the first time in years, I mean it. Have you ever witnessed favoritism that took your breath away? Share your experience in the comments. 3 hours later, the emptied ballroom feels cavernous now, littered with the aftermath of celebration. Crystal flutes with lipstick-stained rims sit abandoned on linen-draped tables. Gift wrappings scatter like expensive confetti across the floor. Only our family remains, the 5 of us suspended in the artificial warmth of this rented vineyard paradise. Luna stands by the windows, holding the framed share certificate up to catch the last light of evening. The gold embossing gleams as she traces her name with a manicured fingertip. James hovers nearby, phone in hand, probably calculating what his fiancée's newfound wealth means for their future. I sit unnaturally still on a high-backed chair, spine rigid against the carved wood. Daniel's hand rests on my shoulder, his thumb making small, soothing circles against the silk of my dress. The weight of his touch anchors me to the moment when everything else feels unsteady. Father loosens his tie with a satisfied sigh. "Wonderful evening," he announces to no one in particular. "Couldn't have gone better." The words break something loose inside me. Why don't I get the same? The question emerges with a calmness that surprises me. Mother's champagne glass pauses halfway to her lips. "What?" "The shares. Why doesn't your firstborn daughter receive 15% too?" My voice remains steady, though my pulse hammers in my throat. Mother sets her glass down with deliberate care. "Natalia, don't be ridiculous. You have a successful career. You don't need shares." "The need isn't the point." I fold my hands in my lap to keep them from shaking. The fairness island. Father's face darkens as he steps closer. The transfer is done. Legal. Finalized. Each word lands like a judge's gavel. "Don't stir up trouble, just be happy for your sister." Luna shifts her weight, eyes darting toward James. He stares at his shoes, clearly wishing himself anywhere but here. The certificate in Luna's hands suddenly seems to weigh her down. "I gave up my college fund so Luna could attend Westridge Academy," I say. The memory rises sharp and clear, 18-year-old me, sitting at the kitchen table while Father explained they couldn't afford both. I moved to the smallest bedroom when Luna wanted a study space for her art. I worked 3 jobs through college while Luna received full financial support. "That was different," Mother interrupts, her voice climbing higher. "Luna needed more help to succeed. You were always so independent, so capable. Being capable shouldn't mean being punished for it." Father's jaw tightens. "We made choices we thought best for both of you. This discussion is inappropriate and ungrateful." "Ungrateful?" The word tastes bitter. For 33 years, I've swallowed every disappointment, accepted every explanation, watched every dollar and opportunity flow toward Luna, while I made my own way. Daniel's hand tightens slightly on my shoulder. "If this is final," he says quietly, "then at least respect Natalia's feelings about it. Acknowledgement costs nothing." Mother's eyes fill with tears right on schedule. "We've always treated you both equally. How can you say otherwise?" "Equally?" I laugh, the sound hollow. "Name one time, Mother. One single instance where Luna didn't receive preference." "This conversation ends now," Father says, voice low with warning. "Drop this or leave." A curious lightness fills me as I stand. After 33 years, I finally see clearly. This wasn't ever going to change. I reach for the silver bracelet on my wrist. Grandmother's passed to me on my 16th birthday before she died. The clasp opens easily under my fingers. For a moment, the weight of it rests in my palm, warm from my skin. I place it gently on the table. I won't be the family afterthought anymore. Daniel rises beside me, his presence solid and unwavering. We move toward the door together. "Natalia, please, you're overreacting." Luna's voice breaks the stunned silence. It's the first thing she's said since my confrontation began. I turn back. My sister's face is flushed, her eyes wide with genuine confusion. She truly doesn't see it. None of them do. Mother presses a hand to her mouth. Father stands frozen, jaw working silently. For the first time in my life, I've rendered him speechless. "Family should lift each other equally," I say, softer now. "When was the last time any of you celebrated my accomplishments?" Did you know I'm up for a patent that could transform cybersecurity protocols? That I was promoted last month? That Daniel and I are considering starting our own company? Their blank expressions answer for them. I thought so. I reach for Daniel's hand. Congratulations on your engagement, Luna. And your inheritance. Outside, the night air wraps around us, cool and clarifying. Thunder rumbles in the distance as we walk to our car, neither of us speaking until we're safely inside. Are you okay? Daniel asks finally, not starting the engine yet. I look back at the golden windows of the vineyard estate, at the shadows of my family still visible inside. A strange mixture of grief and relief washes through me. No, I answer truthfully, but I think someday I will be. The first drops of rain hit the windshield as we drive away, leaving behind 33 years of silence. An hour later, in our apartment, rain drums against our living room windows, nature's percussion accompanying the storm inside me. Daniel moves quietly around our kitchen, the kettle's whistle piercing the silence as he prepares chamomile tea. The warmth of our modest craftsman home usually comforts me, but tonight the contrast between our cozy space and Luna's luxurious lifestyle stings with fresh awareness. Here you go. Daniel places a steaming mug beside me, his fingers brushing mine in silent support. I nod my thanks, unable to form words as I stare at the photo albums spread across our coffee table. The leather-bound volumes chronicle a lifetime of subtle wounds, physical evidence I've never examined collectively until now. My hands tremble slightly as I open the earliest album. You don't have to do this tonight, Daniel says, settling beside me on our well-worn sofa. I do. My voice sounds foreign to my own ears. I need to see it all at once. The first photo shows Christmas morning when I was 8, Luna just 4. My small face beams with forced brightness as I hold up sensible winter clothes while Luna sits surrounded by wrapping paper, clutching an elaborate Victorian dollhouse that must have cost our parents a month's salary. The dollhouse still sits in their attic, preserved like a museum piece. Look at your eyes, Daniel says, tapping the photo. Even then you were putting on a brave face. I turn the page and land on my high school graduation. There I stand in my cap and gown, holding the luggage my parents gave me for college. The next page shows Luna beside the brand new Volkswagen they bought for her graduation 3 years later. They told me the luggage was practical, I explain, the memory sharp despite the years. They said cars were too expensive. Daniel's jaw tightens, yet they found the money for Luna. Duh. My finger traces the edge of another photo Luna on her first day at college, our parents flanking her proudly. The private university education they fully funded, while I worked 3 campus jobs to supplement my loans at State. Jesus, Natalia. Daniel's voice catches as we move through the albums. I knew things were unequal, but seeing it all together like this. The pattern reveals itself with crushing clarity. Luna's dance recitals attended by our entire extended family while my academic competitions had empty seats. My software engineering fellowship barely acknowledged while Luna's brief internship at a fashion magazine warranted a celebration dinner. What about this one? Daniel points to a photo I've never noticed before. A family dinner, where everyone faces Luna, laughing at something she's said. I sit slightly apart, my achievement trophy barely visible on the table beside me. That was the night I won the Young Innovators Award. Dad said we'd celebrate later. My throat tightens. We never did. We never did. The phone rings, startling us both. Sarah's name flashes on my screen, and I hesitate before answering. I've been trying to call you, she says immediately. I've watched this happen for 20 years, Nat. I'm with you on this. Tears blur my vision. Thanks, Sarah. They never deserved you, she continues, her voice firm with loyalty. Remember when your coding project won that national competition senior year, and your parents skipped the ceremony because Luna had a cold? Daniel raises his eyebrows as I nod into the phone, another memory clicking into place. After we hang up, our doorbell chimes unexpectedly. Daniel peers through the peephole and looks back at me with surprise before opening the door to reveal Professor Williams, my undergraduate mentor, standing in the rain with a concerned expression. I heard what happened, he says, removing his dripping raincoat. His silver hair is plastered to his forehead, but his eyes are clear and determined. Your parents never saw your brilliance, Natalia, but everyone else did. The unexpected show of support leaves me momentarily speechless. You drove an hour in this weather? Some things can't wait, He settles into an armchair, declining Daniel's offer of tea. When that family business needed modernization 5 years ago, whose security software did they implement? Yours. Who solved their logistical problems when they expanded? You did. My phone buzzes repeatedly with incoming messages, colleagues expressing outrage at my family's treatment, friends offering support. Daniel collects my phone, scrolling through with widening eyes. You've built more than you realize, he says, showing me the screen filled with notifications. Look at all these people who see your value. For the first time since the party, something eases in my chest. I hadn't realized how much I needed this external validation proof, that I'm not crazy, that the pattern others see matches my experience. Your career speaks for itself, Professor Williams says, leaning forward. Your patent application could revolutionize how banks protect customer data. Meanwhile, he hesitates. Meanwhile, Luna has tried and abandoned 4 careers. I finish for him, all funded by my parents. They gave her fish but taught you to fish, Daniel says quietly, the simple observation striking me with its accuracy. The irony that Luna received business shares despite having no business experience suddenly seems almost comical. I've built my success through work and sacrifice, while Luna has had everything handed to her. My phone rings again, Mother's name appearing on the screen. I send it to voicemail, but seconds later the notification for a new message appears. Want me to listen to it? Daniel offers. I nod, watching his expression change as he holds the phone to his ear. We've always loved you both the same. He mimics my mother's tearful voice after hanging up. That's exactly what someone would say if they didn't. In fact, love you both the same. My laptop chimes with a new email from my father. The subject line reads, Family Matters in all capitals. I open it to find a stern paragraph admonishing me for making private family matters public and insisting we put this nonsense to bed. He still thinks he can control the narrative. I say, showing Daniel the screen. He's been doing it your whole life, Daniel replies, his arm around my shoulders. They all have. A text from Luna arrives next. You're ruining my engagement celebration. How could you be so selfish? The words sting, but less now. The albums spread before me provide concrete evidence of what I've endured, a visual record no one can dismiss as imagination or oversensitivity. Professor Williams rises to leave, patting my shoulder. Remember, Natalia, family is who treats you like family. Your parents may share your DNA, but these people, he gestures to my phone full of supportive messages, to Daniel, these are your real family. After he leaves, headlights sweep across our front windows. Daniel peers out and frowns. Your parents are here, he says, voice hardening. Want me to send them away? I consider for a moment, then nod. I need time. Through the rain-streaked window, I watch Daniel step onto our porch, closing the door behind him. His posture is protective as he speaks to my parents standing in the downpour. Mother tries to move past him toward our door, but he stands firm. Eventually, they retreat to their luxury sedan, defeated expressions visible even through the rain. When Daniel returns, his shirt damp from the confrontation, a new strength flows through me. For the first time, I've maintained a boundary with my family, and the sky hasn't fallen. How do you recognize when family patterns are too deeply ingrained to change? I ask Daniel, closing the photo albums one by one. He considers the question carefully before answering. When showing them the pattern repeatedly makes no difference. When they refuse to see what's right in front of them. I nod, the truth of his words settling into my bones. I think I've been showing them my whole life. Daniel gathers me in his arms as the rain continues its steady rhythm against our windows. The storm outside might continue, but inside, I feel the first tentative rays of clarity breaking through decades of clouds. My office feels like sanctuary 1 month after Luna's engagement party. The gentle hum of computers and fluorescent lights creates a rhythm that drowns out the noise of family drama. I focus on the code before me, lost in the elegant solution to a security protocol issue that stumped our team for weeks. My computer chimes with an incoming email. I glance at it, then do a double take. Congratulations, Natalia White, reads the subject line from our CEO, Senior Director of Cybersecurity Initiative. The promotion I've been working toward for 3 years, the validation hits me in waves, recognition based on merit, not blood relation or favoritism. My phone buzzes with Daniel's name on screen. Did you see the email? He asks, his voice warm with pride. Just now. I reply, my voice steady despite the emotion swelling in my chest. How did you know already? Your boss called me this morning. I've been planning a celebration dinner all day. Don't stay late. I smile, imagining Daniel in our kitchen, sleeves rolled up as he prepares my favorite meal. In our 8 years together, he's never missed an opportunity to celebrate my achievements, even the ones my family overlooked. As if on cue, my phone lights up again. Mother's name appears on the caller ID for the 3rd time this week. I silence it, adding her to the growing list of family members I'm not ready to speak with. The Thompson cousins called yesterday, Daniel says, hearing my sigh. And your Aunt Judith left another voicemail about healing the family rift. Let them call, I reply, surprised by the calm in my voice. I'm focused on what matters now. The peace I've found in this distance feels earned, not empty. For the first time in 33 years, I'm defining myself without the white family shadow hanging over me. When I arrive home, the aroma of rosemary and garlic greets me. Daniel has transformed our dining room with candles and the good china we rarely use. A bottle of champagne chills in an ice bucket. To the newest senior director, Daniel toasts, his eyes reflecting both pride and concern, and to boundaries that should have been set years ago. We clink glasses just as my phone buzzes with a notification. Sarah has forwarded me a social media post from Luna, elaborate floral arrangements for her upcoming wedding, captioned, "When your parents spare no expense for their daughter's special day." Mother has shared professional photos of Luna visiting wedding venues, her caption about carrying on the family business legacy, thinly veiled ammunition in their campaign to pressure me back into compliance. Your father showed up at your office building yesterday, Daniel says carefully, watching my reaction. Security called me. I set down my fork. He what? He couldn't get past the lobby. I've spoken with security at both your office and here at home. They understand the situation. The anger rises hot in my chest, not just at my father's intrusion but at the audacity. Let me guess. He wanted to reason with me about Luna's wedding? Daniel nods. Apparently Aunt Judith is telling everyone you're having some kind of breakdown, that the pressure of your job has made you mentally unstable. I laugh, the sound sharp and unfamiliar to my ears. Of course, because setting boundaries after decades of being treated as an afterthought couldn't possibly be a rational decision. After dinner, I draft an email to the extended family who've been calling and texting. The words flow with surprising clarity. I appreciate your concern for family harmony. However, the pattern of favoritism I've experienced isn't new and isn't trivial. I'm taking space to reassess relationships that have consistently demanded my understanding while offering little in return. I'm well and focused on my career and marriage. Please respect my decision to engage on my terms in my time. Daniel reads it over my shoulder. Perfect, he says. Clear, calm, and absolutely final. The next morning, I have my first session with Dr. Rivera, a family therapist Daniel researched last week. I need to process this properly, I explain, not just react. That's remarkably self-aware, she replies. Many people in your position would simply burn bridges. I've spent my life building things, I tell her. Even if these relationships need complete reconstruction, I want to approach it strategically. That weekend, we hosted a small dinner for true friends, Sarah, my mentor Professor Williams, and colleagues who've become confidants. We laugh, share stories, and create new traditions untainted by old hurts. When my phone rang over and over with Luna's name Tuesday morning next week, I almost ignored it, but as Shabia's persistent, something seemed off. Dad says the business might be in trouble. She blurts before I can speak. Something about cash flow problems and lost contracts. He's looking for investors. The irony isn't lost on me. The same morning I received notification that my patent application has been approved, with a substantial bonus attached. The family business falters. I'm sorry to hear that, I reply carefully. That's it? You're sorry? Luna's voice cracks. Mom and Dad are fighting about my wedding costs, and James is asking questions about joining a family business that might be struggling, and all you can say is you're sorry? I take a deep breath. What exactly are you asking from me, Luna? Her silence speaks volumes. In the background, I hear our mother's voice rising in an argument. I have to go, Luna says finally. James says this is all getting to be too much. The tension, the family drama. After we hang up, I sit in the quiet of my home office, staring at the framed patent certificate Daniel had made for my previous innovation. Below it sits the notification of my newly approved patent and the investment portfolio we've been building. Steady, strategic choices that have positioned us well, regardless of family connections. The realization settles over me like morning light. My independence has become my greatest strength, not just financially but emotionally. While my family's facade begins to crack under pressure, I'm building something sustainable. Daniel finds me smiling as I review investment options for my bonus. Good news? He asks. The best kind, I reply. I'm finally seeing clearly. The cream envelope arrives on a Tuesday 2 weeks later. After a prolonged silence, it slipped between bills and junk mail like an ordinary piece of correspondence. But I know what it is before my fingers trace the gold-embossed edges. Luna's wedding invitation. Daniel watches from the kitchen doorway, dish towel in hand, as I stand motionless by the mail table. You don't have to open it now, he says, his voice gentle. I slide my thumb under the sealed flap. The heavy cardstock feels expensive, substantial. Inside, calligraphy announces Luna and James's wedding date, 6 weeks away at the Fairmont Hotel. A small handwritten note falls onto the table. I need my sister there. Please come. Love, Luna. My throat tightens. Weeks have passed since I walked out of the engagement party. 3 months of rebuilding my sense of self beyond the family narrative. What does it say? Daniel asks, crossing to stand beside me. I hand him the invitation. She wants her punching bag in attendance. The phone rings that evening as we're finishing dinner. Mother's number flashes on the screen. Daniel raises an eyebrow in silent question. I answer on the third ring. Luna is devastated you might not come, Mother says without preamble. This is her special day, Natalia. Hello to you too, Mom. Don't be difficult. This isn't about your issues with us. This is about supporting your sister. I press my fork against the plate, watching the tines bend slightly. My issues? You mean the lifetime of favoritism culminating in $1 million gift? That's business, not family, she says, voice sharp. The wedding is family. After I hang up, Daniel refills my wine glass. You okay? Just peachy, I say, but my hand trembles slightly as I reach for the glass. The following day brings a text from an unknown number. My father's new cell. Lunch tomorrow? Need to clear the air before the wedding. The Capitol Grill at 1. I show Daniel at breakfast. Are you going? He asks, stirring his coffee. I should hear what he has to say. I take a slow breath. But I'm not making promises. The next day, the restaurant buzzes with business lunches when I arrive. Father stands as I approach the table, his face unreadable behind his practiced business smile. You look well, he says, nodding to the chair across from him. Thank you for meeting, he begins after we order. Luna talks about you constantly. She misses her big sister. Does she miss me, or the sister who never complained when she took what was mine? His jaw tightens. That's not fair. Fairness isn't exactly your specialty, Dad. We sit in strained silence until our food arrives. He cuts into his steak with surgical precision. Look, he says finally, whatever grievances you think you have with us, this wedding is important. Luna needs you there. Luna has always gotten what she needs, I reply, voice steady. What about what I need? The calls continue through the week. Aunt Patricia insisting family comes first. Uncle Robert reminiscing about holding baby Luna while I stood by watching. Cousins I haven't spoken to in years suddenly concerned about family unity. Then Luna herself, voice breaking. It won't be the same without you, Nat. I always pictured you standing beside me. I take the questions to my therapist, Dr. Winters, the following Tuesday. What do you truly want? She asks after I recount the barrage of family pressure. I want them to acknowledge what they've done. I say, picking at a loose thread on the couch cushion, not just with the shares, but all of it. And if they can't, or won't? I look up at her. Then I need to decide if I'm strong enough to attend on my terms, or if I need to protect myself by staying away. That night, Daniel and I sit on our back deck, watching stars emerge in the darkening sky. Professor Williams called today, he says, passing me a mug of tea. Asked about you. What did you say? That you're fighting battles most people never have to face. He takes my hand. Professor said to remind you that attendance isn't the same as approval. 3 days later, I draft my letter. Not an emotional plea, but a clear statement of boundaries. I write about specific instances of favoritism throughout our lives. About the college fund diverted to Luna's private school. About the childhood holidays where her gifts towered over mine. I end with my conditions. I will attend Luna's wedding if you can acknowledge these patterns existed. Not to place blame, but to ensure we build something healthier moving forward. Daniel reads it twice before I send it. Are you sure? It's time for honesty, I say, clicking send. The pre-wedding dinner arrives before I receive a direct response. We meet at Riviera, an upscale restaurant where the soft lighting seems designed to mask uncomfortable truths. Luna fidgets with her engagement ring, while James makes stilted conversation about honeymoon plans. Mother sips her wine, perfect posture betraying the tension she carries. Father checks his watch repeatedly. The salmon here is excellent, Luna says, attempting to bridge the silence that stretches between us. I notice my father watching me, something unfamiliar in his expression. Natalia, he says finally, setting down his fork. I received your letter. The table goes quiet. Daniel's hand finds mine beneath the tablecloth. We should have been fair to you. Father continues, the words seeming to cost him physical effort. I won't pretend to understand how it felt, but I recognize that our choices hurt you. Mother stares at her plate. Luna's eyes widen. I take a slow breath, feeling something shift inside me, not forgiveness exactly, but perhaps the first brick in a bridge I never expected to build. Thank you. I say simply. That's a start. On the wedding day, the morning light filters through the bridal suite as I fasten the last pearl button on Luna's wedding gown. My fingers work deliberately, each motion a bridge between the sisters we were and the women we've become. You look beautiful, I say, the words coming easier than I expected. Luna meets my eyes in the mirror, her reflection glowing with more than bridal anticipation. Thank you for being here, Nat. I wasn't sure you would come. The admission hangs between us, honest in a way we rarely managed before. I smooth the satin at her shoulders, remembering the childhood games where she always wore the crown while I played the faithful attendant. I almost didn't, I answer, my voice steady. Mother appears in the doorway, her silhouette hesitant where it once would have been commanding. She watches us silently, her eyes taking in the tableau of her daughters together again. Something in her expression shifts recognition, perhaps, of what she nearly lost permanently. Through the window, I spot Daniel in the garden, deep in conversation with Uncle Robert and Cousin Andrew. He navigates my family with the graceful diplomacy I've always admired, creating space for me where none existed before. Seeing him advocate for me without fanfare makes my chest tighten with gratitude. Father approaches as I step outside for a moment of air. His expensive shoes crunch on the gravel path. You've built a good life, he says, his voice carrying unfamiliar notes of approval. I meet his gaze directly. I have, without any shortcuts. He nods, understanding the boundary in my words. Your mother and I were talking about inviting you to the next board meeting. Your security expertise could benefit the company. I'd consider it, I reply, neither rushing to accept nor dismiss the olive branch. Growth happens in these small moments of recalibration. The ceremony unfolds beneath a canopy of white roses. When Luna and James exchange vows, her voice carries clearly, I promise to create a family based on fairness and love with you. Luna's eyes find mine as she speaks these words. The message couldn't be clearer if she'd addressed it directly to our parents. Daniel's hand finds mine, his thumb tracing reassuring circles against my palm. At the reception, champagne flows and music swells. I'm prepared for the familiar patterns to reassert themselves, but something has shifted in our family's gravitational pull. Luna taps her glass, pulling everyone's attention. James and I have an announcement, she says, her voice steady. Instead of joining White Family Trucking, we're starting our own marketing firm. Murmurs ripple through the guests. Mother's champagne glass freezes halfway to her lips. My sister taught me something valuable, Luna continues, finding me in the crowd. True independence means building your own path. Later, Father finds me alone. 3 simple words fall from his lips. I was wrong. The admission costs him visibly, his proud shoulders slightly bowed. Across the room, Mother approaches with tear-filled eyes. Her apology comes wrapped in decades of explanation, but its core rings true. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. Daniel observes as we drive home that night, the stars overhead brilliant against the November sky. 6 months later, Thanksgiving dinner unfolds in our dining room. Luna and James arrive with pictures of their new office space. Mother and father bring modest, thoughtful gifts for everyone. The conversation flows without the undertow of competition that once defined us. In the kitchen, arranging dessert plates, I pause to absorb the gentle hum of voices from the dining room. The journey here wasn't simple or painless, but standing in the warmth of our home, I understand something essential. Family is what we choose to build, not just what we're born into. What does family mean to you? Is it defined by blood, or by how people treat each other? Share your definition of true family below. The autumn sunset paints my parents' suburban home in amber light as I pull into the driveway. Sunday dinner, a tradition I've maintained despite the subtle tensions that have shadowed our family for years. I smooth my charcoal pencil skirt and straighten my cream blouse before stepping out of my sensible sedan. Through the bay window, I catch a glimpse of movement, laughter. Something feels different tonight. I knock twice before using my key, a habit my mother instilled in me since childhood. Always announce yourself, Michelle. It's the polite thing to do. The scent of roast chicken and rosemary potatoes wraps around me as I step inside. Family photos line the hallway, decades of carefully arranged memories. My high school graduation, Rachel's college ceremony. Family vacations where I always seemed to be half smiling while everyone else beamed. Michelle, is that you? Mom calls from the dining room. It's me, I answer, hanging my coat on the wooden rack by the door. I follow her voice and freeze at the threshold. Rachel stands by the china cabinet wearing a burgundy cocktail dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Her hair is freshly highlighted, cascading in perfect waves around her shoulders. Dad pours champagne into crystal flutes, the ones reserved for Christmas and milestone birthdays. Michelle! Mom rushes over, pulling me into a hug that smells of Chanel No. 5 in anticipation. She's wearing her good pearl earrings. You're just in time. Dad finishes pouring the fourth glass and raises his own. Perfect timing indeed. We were just about to toast. Toast? I accept the champagne, noting how Rachel can barely contain her excitement, practically vibrating as she clutches her glass. What's the occasion? Mom and Dad exchange pleased glances. To Rachel's future, Dad announces, lifting his glass higher. We clink glasses. The champagne is expensive, dry with hints of apple. I sip slowly, watching Rachel over the rim of my glass. I found it, Rachel blurts out, unable to contain herself any longer. My dream house in Oakwood Heights. That luxury townhouse development they've been building? The one with the rooftop gardens and the community pool? That's wonderful, I say, forcing enthusiasm into my voice. Oakwood Heights, where the starting price for those townhouses begins at $450,000. We put in the offer yesterday, Rachel continues, and they accepted this morning. Can you believe it? I'm going to be a homeowner. Dad wraps his arm around Rachel's shoulders. And we couldn't be prouder. We're helping with the down payment, Mom adds, patting Rachel's hand. From the Family Trust Fund. The Family Trust Fund. The room tilts slightly as the words register. My fingers tighten around the delicate stem of the champagne flute. The Family Trust Fund. I repeat, my voice hollow. You mean the account I've been contributing to for the past 10 years? A brief flicker of discomfort crosses Dad's face before his expression hardens. It's for family milestones, Michelle. That's always been the purpose. But 10 years ago, I was 22, fresh out of college with my first real job as an administrative assistant at Wilson and Brooks law firm. Mom and Dad had invited me to dinner, just the three of us. Dad spread papers across this very table. It's time you started thinking about your future, Michelle, he'd said. A security fund for your wedding someday, your first home. Add what you can each month, Mom had encouraged. We'll manage it, contribute too. When the time comes, you'll have a solid foundation. For a decade, I'd transferred $500 monthly from my modest salary. I'd skipped vacations, lived in a tiny apartment with temperamental plumbing, bought secondhand furniture, all while watching that account grow to nearly $60,000. My money, my sacrifice. Let me show you the pictures. Rachel pulls out her phone, swiping through images of granite countertops and cathedral ceilings. This is the main living area, and this is the master bedroom with the walk-in closet. I nod mechanically, my throat tight. It's beautiful. Michelle's always been the responsible one, Dad remarks to no one in particular. She'll understand. This is what family does. Mom gives my arm a dismissive pat. You don't even have a serious boyfriend yet, dear. Rachel's at a different stage of life. Rachel, who spent 3 years finding herself after college, while I worked 60-hour weeks. Rachel, whose car was a graduation gift while I took the bus for years to save money. Rachel, whose European vacation last summer was an educational investment according to our parents. Excuse me, I murmur, setting down my barely touched champagne. Bathroom. I lock the door behind me, hands trembling as I pull out my phone and open the banking app. The joint account my parents and I established appears on the screen. I tap it, heart pounding. Previous balance, $59,872.43. Current balance, $0. Last transaction, transfer to external account, yesterday. My vision blurs. The bathroom spins. A decade of sacrifice emptied in a single transaction, without so much as a conversation. For my sister's dream house. I grip the edge of the sink, knuckles white against the porcelain. Through the door, I hear Rachel's excited chatter about paint colors and furniture delivery. Mom's delighted responses. Dad's proud rumble. In the mirror, I hardly recognize the woman staring back at me, the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who will understand, but I don't understand. And for the first time in my life, I'm not sure I want to. This isn't about money anymore. This is about value, worth, respect. I straighten my shoulders, taking one deep breath, then another. They've made their choice. Now it's time for me to make mine. The bathroom door swings open harder than I intended, the hinges protesting as it bangs against the wall. My parents and Rachel turn in unison, champagne glasses still raised in celebration. That was my money. My voice comes out steadier than I expect, the words hanging in the sudden silence. Mom laughs lightly, the sound brittle against the tension I've created. It's a family fund, dear. We've always made decisions as a family. Family decisions? The word tastes bitter. Did anyone consult me before emptying an account I've put $60,000 into? Rachel rolls her eyes dramatically. Don't be so dramatic, Michelle. It's not like you were using it. Dad sets his champagne down with deliberate precision. Let's all calm down, Michelle. Your sister needs this house. It's about the greater good of the family. The greater good? I repeat, my hands clenching into fists at my sides. Show me the account statements. Now isn't the time, Dad begins. Show me the statements. Each word drops like a stone. For the past 10 years. Dad and Mom exchange glances, a silent conversation passing between them. Finally, Dad sighs and pushes back from the table. If that's what it takes to end this nonsense, he mutters, heading toward his office. While he's gone, Mom attempts damage control. Michelle, I know you're disappointed, but Rachel has found her perfect home. Can't you be happy for your sister? Rachel nods eagerly. You can come over anytime. There's a spare bedroom you could stay in when you visit. The casual generosity of offering me access to a room purchased with my own money makes my stomach twist. Dad returns with a leather portfolio, hesitating before placing it on the table. I reach for it before he can change his mind, flipping it open to reveal neatly organized monthly statements. My fingers trace the columns of numbers, each deposit marked with my name. 10 years of sacrifice laid bare. I flip through month after month, searching for any contribution besides my own. There's nothing here from either of you, I say, looking up. Not $1. Dad shifts uncomfortably. We provided the investment strategy. The guidance. Guidance, I repeat, continuing to turn pages. A notation from 3 years ago catches my eye. What's this withdrawal? $20,000 in August 2022? Rachel suddenly becomes intensely interested in her champagne. Rachel needed help with graduate school, Mom says smoothly. Just a small loan. I flip more pages, finding other withdrawals. And this $12,000? And these 8 smaller withdrawals? Dad clears his throat. The down payment for Rachel's car, and some help when she was between jobs. Her European vacation to find herself? I ask, already knowing the answer. Mom reaches for my hand, which I pull away. Michelle, family supports each other. Your sister needed these things. And what about my needs? The question hangs between us. You've always been so capable, Dad says, as if it's a compliment. So independent. So independent because I had to be. I counter. Because every time I needed something, the answer was no. That's not fair, Mom says. her eyes welling with tears. After everything we've done for you. What exactly have you done? The question isn't angry anymore, just genuinely curious. We raised you, Dad says sternly. Put a roof over your head, food on the table. The bare minimum parents are supposed to do, I reply. Family supports each other, Dad repeats, his jaw tightening. Your sister needs this. Start in life. And I don't? I close the portfolio, suddenly exhausted. I've supported this family by being the responsible one for 32 years. Rachel scoffs, twirling her champagne stem between manicured fingers. It's just money, Michelle. You can save more. It's not my fault you chose a boring career. The casual cruelty of her words cuts through the last threads of my patience. I stand, gathering my purse and the portfolio of statements. Where are you going? In. Mom asks, alarm rising in her voice. I made your favorite dessert, lemon squares. I've lost my appetite. Dad stands too, his authority a familiar weight in the room. Michelle, we expect you to be reasonable about this. The decision has been made. Yes, it has. I agree, turning toward the door. But not by you. This is ridiculous, Rachel says. You're ruining a perfectly good celebration over some money. I pause at the doorway, looking back at the three of them, Dad stern and immovable, Mom anxiously twisting her napkin, Rachel annoyed at the interruption of her moment. This isn't about money, I tell them quietly. It's about trust. The door closes behind me with a soft click that sounds like the period at the end of a very long sentence. In my car, the portfolio sits heavy on the passenger seat, a decade of broken promises bound in leather. Street lamps flicker on as I drive away from my parents' house, illuminating a path I've never taken before. The responsible daughter has always returned, always forgiven, always understood. Not tonight. Tonight, I'm choosing a different road. That night at my apartment, the bank statements scatter across my coffee table like fallen leaves, numbers and dates that chronicle a decade of my sacrifices. My phone buzzes for the 7th time in an hour. I don't need to look to know it's them, Mom, Dad, or Rachel, each with their own flavor of manipulation. I let it vibrate against the wood until it falls silent. Then I open my laptop and check Rachel's Instagram. There at Island, a photo of her standing in front of the Oakwood Heights sales office, keys dangling from her manicured fingers. The caption reads, "Dreams come true when you have a generous family. Number blessed, number new homeowner, number family first." 27 likes already, 3 comments congratulating her on her hard work. My fingers hover over the keyboard. What would happen if I typed the truth? Congratulations on spending my $60,000. Hope the floors don't creak like my apartment that I've lived in for years while saving for my own home. The phone buzzes again. This time I look. Mom, Michelle, please call us. Your father is very upset. We need to talk about your behavior last night. My behavior. As if walking out of Sunday dinner after discovering they emptied my account was some kind of teenage rebellion. The next message arrives before I can set the phone down. Dad, your silence is disappointing but not surprising. The Robinson family handles matters privately. Consider the reputation you're risking with this childish tantrum. The family reputation. Always the family reputation. The third message is from Rachel. You could at least be happy for me. It's not like you were using that money anyway. I toss the phone onto the couch and press my palms against my eyes until I see stars. The voicemail notification chimes. Michelle, it's Mom. I know you're upset, sweetheart, but you're not seeing the bigger picture. Rachel is starting her life with Jordan. They need this home to build their future. You've always been our rock, our responsible one. Please call me back. Your father, Island. Her voice drops to a whisper. He's talking about removing you from the will if you pursue this. Please be reasonable. I delete the message without listening to the rest. 3 more voicemails follow the same pattern, sweet concern melting into veiled threats. When the knock comes at my door the next evening, I expect to find Mom or Dad standing in the hallway with stern expressions and rehearsed speeches about family duty. Instead, it's Sarah, clutching a bottle of wine and a folder. You sounded terrible on the phone, she says, pushing past me into the apartment. I brought reinforcements. Sarah has been my friend since college and now works as a paralegal at Westbrook and Associates. Her practical nature and legal knowledge have saved me from several bad decisions over the years. I accept the wine but eye the folder warily. What's that? Information. She pulls out a corkscrew from my kitchen drawer, already familiar with my apartment's layout. You said they emptied a joint account that you've been funding for 10 years, right? Without your knowledge or consent? The wine splashes into 2 glasses, deep red against clear crystal, the only fine thing I own. A graduation gift from Aunt Meredith. Yes. Almost $60,000. My voice sounds hollow even to my own ears. But it was a family account. That's what they keep saying. Sarah takes a long sip before answering. That's not just unfair, Beth. It might be illegal. Illegal? The word feels foreign in my mouth when applied to my parents, but their names were on the account too. Joint account doesn't automatically mean communal funds, especially if there's a paper trail showing you were the only one contributing. She slides the folder toward me. You should talk to Thomas Wilson at our firm. He specializes in financial disputes, including family matters. I thumb through the pages. She's brought printouts about financial misappropriation, joint account laws, and fiduciary responsibility. Terms that feel too cold and clinical to apply to Sunday dinners and childhood bedrooms. I can't sue my family, Sarah. You can't let them steal from you either. The word steal lands like a slap. I've been avoiding that term even in my thoughts. 2 days later, I sit across from Thomas Wilson in his office. He reminds me of my grandfather, silver-haired, with kind eyes that harden when I show him my bank statements and the account agreement. This isn't a family trust, Miss Robinson, he says, removing his reading glasses. This is your money, plain and simple. They're my parents, I whisper, as if that explains everything. Yes, he agrees, leaning back in his chair, which makes this betrayal of trust even more concerning. I stare at my hands, at the ink stains on my right index finger from grading papers. I need to think about this. After work the next day, I linger in my empty classroom. The 3rd grade artwork lines the walls, bright colors and hopeful scenes. I straighten Lily's drawing of a butterfly, Xavier's crayon rendering of his family, Emma's careful depiction of the solar system. 5 years teaching at Franklin Elementary. 5 years of watching children grow and learn while my own life remained suspended in amber. Always the responsible one. Always putting others first. I sit at my desk, surrounded by the remnants of today's lesson on simple machines. How many better job offers have I turned down to stay in this district, close to my parents' home? The teaching position in Colorado with the outdoor education program, the curriculum development role in Chicago, and not just career opportunities. The trip to Europe I canceled when Mom needed help after her gallbladder surgery that didn't stop her from attending Rachel's graduation ceremony 2 weeks later. The relationship with Daniel that ended because Dad thought his contractor business wasn't ambitious enough for a Robinson daughter. Year after year of small sacrifices that built an invisible cage around my life. A drawing on my desk catches my eye, Jamie's work from our lesson on integrity last month. A stick figure stands tall while others huddle in the background. Miss Robinson taught me to stand up for myself, the careful lettering reads. My phone rings, startling me. Unknown number. Michelle? It's Aunt Meredith. My father's sister, the family outlier who moved to Arizona after a falling out years ago. Aunt Meredith? How did you? Sarah called me. We've kept in touch over the years. Of course they have. The 2 strong-willed women always got along. I heard what Robert and Patricia did. She continues, her voice carrying the desert's dry warmth even through the phone. With your savings. It's complicated. I start, the default defense mechanism engaging automatically. No, it's not. She cuts in. They did the same thing to me with Grandma's jewelry. The pieces she specifically left to me in her will. Your father convinced me they needed to stay in the main family line. I let it go because I thought that's what family did. My breath catches. I didn't know. Of course you didn't. They've built a wall of silence around their behavior for decades. Your grandfather did it to your father. Your father learned it, and perfected it. And now they're doing it to you. Her voice softens. Don't let them do this to you, Michelle. This pattern has existed for generations in this family. I look up at Jamie's drawing again, the small figure standing tall. This stops with me, I say, surprising myself with the firmness in my voice. Good girl. I can hear the smile in Aunt Meredith's voice. Now, here's what you're going to do. I listen as she outlines the steps I need to take. Practical, legal, emotional. By the time we hang up, the sun has set outside my classroom window, but for the first time since Sunday dinner, I feel a glimmer of light inside me. This stops with me. The next day, The law office of Thomas Wilson reminds me of my grandfather's study, all dark wood panels and leather-bound books. Afternoon light filters through Venetian blinds, casting golden stripes across the polished conference table where my bank statements lie in neat chronological order. 10 years, Thomas says, adjusting his silver-rimmed glasses. Every month, without fail. I nod, watching his weathered hands move methodically through the documents. Thomas Wilson has been practicing law since before I was born. His reputation for fairness preceded him, the reason I chose him over the younger associates at my own firm. And not a single contribution from your parents? He continues, voice steady but tinged with indignation, despite their verbal assurances. They managed the account, I say, the words hollow even to my own ears. Thomas looks up, blue eyes sharp with 40 years of legal experience. They managed to empty it, Miss Robinson, without your knowledge or consent. My stomach tightens. Hearing it stated so plainly makes the betrayal even more stark. The law is clear here, Thomas says, resting his hands on the scattered papers. This is financial misappropriation. Your options include a civil suit or formal fraud charges. The word fraud lands like a stone in still water. Criminal charges against my own parents. Against Rachel. I don't want to destroy my family, I say, straightening my shoulders. I just want what's right. Thomas nods, understanding tempering his professional detachment. Then we begin with certified letters, one to the bank, formally disputing the transaction. Another to your parents, outlining the legal standing of your claim. He slides 2 envelopes across the table. I sign each letter, my signature more confident than I feel. Fair warning, Thomas says as his assistant takes the envelopes. People rarely respond well when called to account. 4 days later, I discovered just how right he Island Aunt Meredith's dining room smells of pot roast and tension. What began as a casual family dinner has revealed itself as an ambush. Uncle Frank sits at the head of the table, his typical jovial demeanor replaced by stern disappointment. You're breaking your mother's heart, he says, pointing his fork at me. She hasn't slept since those legal papers arrived. I take a measured sip of water. I'm sorry to hear that. Cousin William leans forward, his college quarterback confidence undiminished by middle age. Rachel has always had big dreams, Michelle. You're just a teacher. The word just hangs in the air, loaded with generations of familial expectations. I've spent my life helping children achieve their dreams. I reply, folding my napkin neatly, including paying for 3 of my students' college application fees last year out of my own pocket. Aunt Meredith's eyes widen slightly. She didn't know about that. Your sister needs that money for her future, Uncle Frank insists. Her house, her wedding, she has plans. So did I say simply. The table falls silent. For perhaps the first time, they're actually hearing me. My phone buzzes in my purse. I excuse myself to the kitchen, grateful for the momentary escape. It's a notification from Instagram. Rachel has tagged me in a post. The photo shows Rachel and her boyfriend standing before a sold sign, his arm around her waist, her left hand prominently displaying a diamond ring. The caption reads, "She said yes, celebrating our engagement and our new home. Blessed. New chapter." End quote. Comments flood the post. Congratulations pouring in for the golden child. Friends and family alike celebrating Rachel's charmed life. My fingers hover over the screen. I could ignore it, walk away. But something inside me, perhaps the same steel that made me save month after month, while Rachel spent freely, refuses to remain silent. I type a single, measured comment. Congratulations on your engagement. I hope your home brings you as much joy as my decade of savings brought me. I hit send before I can reconsider, then return to the dining room, just as my phone begins buzzing continuously with notifications. 3 days later, the first real victory arrives in my email inbox. A formal letter from the bank. Accounts frozen pending investigation into disputed transactions. My father calls within the hour, his voice thundering through the speaker. What have you done? Exactly what you taught me, I answer, surprising myself with my calm. Protecting what's mine. He launches into a lecture about family loyalty and ungrateful children, his voice rising with each sentence. I let him finish. Is that all? I ask when he finally pauses for breath. He hangs up without another word. The next afternoon, I'm arranging my 3rd grader's science projects when a shadow falls across my classroom door. My mother stands there, perfectly coiffed as always. looking oddly out of place among the colorful alphabet charts and student artwork. "We need to talk," she says, closing the door behind her. "We're family. Can't we handle this privately?" I continue straightening the display, aligning Mason's volcano with Sophia's solar system model. "We could have," I say, finally turning to face her. 10 years ago, or last month, or even at dinner, but not anymore. She steps closer, voice dropping to a whisper, though no one else is around. "Do you know what this is doing to your father? To Rachel's wedding plans?" I think of decade-old promises. Of bus rides in the rain while Rachel drove her graduation gift car. Of my tiny apartment with its temperamental plumbing. "Yes," I say, meeting her gaze directly. "I know exactly what this is doing. The same thing you've been doing to me for years." For the first time in my life, my mother looks at me. Really looks at me. And I wonder if she's finally seeing the woman I've become rather than the compliant daughter she expected me to remain. A week later, the walnut conference table gleams under recessed lighting as I take my seat beside Thomas Wilson. His silver hair catches the light, and the reassuring weight of his legal experience settles around me like armor. Across from us sit my parents and Rachel, a perfect tableau of familial disappointment. Dad's jaw works back and forth. He hasn't looked directly at me since entering the room. Mom's hands twist a tissue into shreds, her pearl bracelet clicking against the table with each nervous movement. Rachel stares at her phone, scrolling through pictures of granite countertops and walk-in closets she now realizes might slip through her fingers. "Let's begin," Thomas says, his voice carrying the quiet authority of 40 years in law. He places a leather portfolio on the table and opens it with deliberate care. Dad's hand slams down. "This is ridiculous. We're family, not adversaries. Michelle, I raised you better than this." "Did you?" The words slip out before I can stop them, quiet but razor sharp. Mom dabs at dry eyes. "You're tearing this family apart over money. Money, after everything we've done for you." Thomas clears his throat. "Mrs. Robinson, with respect, let's focus on the facts." He slides printed bank statements across the polished surface. These records show a decade of monthly deposits from Michelle's account, $500 each month for 10 years. Rachel finally looks up, color draining from her face as she sees the columns of numbers. "Plus," Thomas continues, "statements showing zero contributions from Robert or Ellen Robinson throughout this period." Dad's face reddens. "We manage the account. That's a contribution." "Mismanaged would be more accurate," Thomas replies, his tone unchanged. "Under state law, this constitutes financial misappropriation, the transfer of funds without proper authorization." "We didn't need authorization," Dad interrupts. "It's a family fund." "That's not what the paperwork indicates," Thomas says, tapping another document. "The account was established in Michelle's name with you as co-signatories, not as a discretionary family trust." Mom leans toward Dad, whispering urgently. His expression shifts from defiance to calculation. Rachel pushes back from the table. "You promised me that house. I've already told everyone. I've already picked out furniture." Rachel," Mom says, her tone sharp for the first time. "No." Rachel's voice rises. "This is humiliating. What am I supposed to tell Jason? That we can't afford the house because my sister is being selfish?" "Selfish?" The word hangs in the air between us. I lived in an apartment with broken heating for 3 winters to save that money. Dad and Mom exchange glances. Some silent communication passes between them, the language of a 35-year marriage that's always excluded me. Dad straightens his tie and leans forward. "Let's be reasonable. Michelle, we're willing to compromise. We'll split the money 3 ways fair for everyone." Thomas starts to speak, but I touch his arm. "This moment belongs to me." "No." The single syllable falls like a stone in still water. "It was never yours to split." Dad's face hardens. "Is this how you repay us for everything? Your mother and I gave you every advantage." "Did you?" I place my palms flat on the table. "You gave Rachel a car for graduation. I took the bus for 2 years. You paid for Rachel's master's degree. I worked full-time while studying. You funded her finding herself trip to Europe. I haven't had a vacation in 6 years." Mom flinches. "And when I trusted you, when I believed you were helping secure my future, you emptied my account without a word." Thomas slides a document forward. "We've prepared a settlement agreement. Full restoration of Michelle's funds. with 5% interest compounded annually. This is quite generous, considering we could pursue damages. Dad stares at the paper as if it might bite him. You would sue your own parents? I would protect what's mine, I answer, just like you taught me. The room falls silent except for the soft whir of the air conditioning. Rachel's phone pings with a notification, but she doesn't check it. Mom whispers something to Dad. He nods curtly, then reaches for the pen Thomas offers. His hand trembles slightly as he signs his name, the black ink a stark contrast against the white page. Mom signs next, her signature flowing and elegant, never once raising her eyes to meet mine. Rachel stands abruptly, chair scraping against hardwood. This is so typical. Perfect Michelle gets her way again. I've already told everyone about the house. That's not my problem, I say, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. Family helps family, Mom says weakly. That's what we've always believed. This was never about the money. I take the signed agreement Thomas passes to me. It was about respect. Rachel storms out, the door closing with a heavy thud behind her. Mom follows after giving me one last disappointed look. Dad lingers, his authority diminished in the wake of legal consequences. I hope you're satisfied, he says finally. I study his face, the features I've always searched for in my own reflection. I'm not satisfied, Dad. I'm just finally standing up for myself. He leaves without another word. Thomas gathers his documents, tucking them neatly into his briefcase. The bank will process the transfer by tomorrow afternoon. Would you like me to have them prepare a cashier's check? Yes, I say, feeling lighter than I have in years. Thank you. The next day, I hold the check in my hands. $62,865.17. 10 years of my life quantified in dollars and cents. I drive to Westside Elementary where I've taught 3rd grade for 6 years. In the administrative office, I write a check for $5,000 to the school's scholarship fund. Principal Alvarez asks what prompted such generosity. An inheritance, I say. From myself. That afternoon, a realtor named Janet shows me through a small cottage on Maple Street. It's nothing like Rachel's luxury townhouse, just 2 bedrooms with worn hardwood floors and a kitchen that needs updating. But the backyard has an ancient oak tree, and sunshine streams through windows that face east. It's quiet, Janet says apologetically. Some people prefer more activity. I walk through empty rooms, my footsteps echoing against bare walls. In each space, I see possibilities unfolding: bookshelves filled with novels, a comfortable sofa for Sunday mornings, a dining table where friends will gather. For the first time, I imagine a future entirely of my own design. That evening, I call Aunt Meredith. When she answers, I can hear her television in the background, her favorite game show. I found my home, I tell her. Your home or a house? She asks, always precise with language. I smile into the phone. Both. The morning sun warms my back as I kneel in the freshly tilled soil, planting purple coneflowers along the stone path. 1 year has transformed this overgrown yard into something alive with possibility. Aunt Meredith works beside me, her gardening gloves caked with earth, her silver hair caught in the spring breeze. Your grandmother would approve, she says, patting the soil around a sturdy seedling. She always said gardens are where we plant our hopes. I smile, remembering the woman who taught me patience long before I understood its value. I think I finally understand what she meant. My cottage stands behind us, no longer the neglected foreclosure I purchased with my reclaimed savings. The pale yellow paint brightens the weathered siding, and window boxes burst with geraniums. It's modest, nothing like Rachel's luxury townhouse, but entirely mine. Inside, photographs line the mantel above the small fireplace. My 5th grade class performing their science play. Sarah and me hiking in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Aunt Meredith and I at the closing, holding up my house keys. No recent family portraits grace these walls, an absence that occasionally aches but no longer defines me. Hand me that watering can, would you? Aunt Meredith asks, interrupting my thoughts. As I pass it to her, movement at the garden gate catches my eye. My mother stands there, uncertainty written across her face. She clutches her purse with both hands, looking smaller somehow, diminished without my father beside her. Michelle, she says, using my childhood nickname for the first time since our confrontation. Your flowers are beautiful. Aunt Meredith glances between us, then tactfully murmurs something about checking on her strawberry tarts in the oven. She squeezes my shoulder as she passes, a silent reassurance. Thank you, I reply, rising slowly, brushing soil from my jeans. Would you like to come in? Mother hesitates at the threshold, as if crossing into my space requires permission she's unsure she deserves. I didn't bring anything. I should have brought something. It's all right. She takes 3 careful steps into the garden, then stops. I've been thinking about what happened. What we did. Her voice wavers. I didn't see what we were doing to you. Not really. I told myself we were just being practical. The admission hangs between us, inadequate, yet monumental. A year ago, I would have demanded more, a complete accounting of every inequity. Now, I recognize the courage this small acknowledgement requires. I'm glad you see it now, I say simply. She nods, blinking rapidly. Your father still doesn't understand. He says you abandoned the family. I didn't abandon anyone. I just stopped abandoning myself. A robin lands on the bird bath, splashing briefly before taking flight again. We both watch it go. Would you like some tea? I offer. It's not forgiveness, not yet, but it's an opening, a small crack in the wall between us. Later that evening, my small dining table holds a gathering unlike any my family ever hosted. Aunt Meredith passes a platter of roasted vegetables to Sarah, while Thomas Wilson, my silver-haired attorney, tells a story that has everyone laughing. My colleague Jack raises his glass in a spontaneous toast. To building our own definitions of family, he announces. As twilight deepens, I settle onto my porch swing with my journal. The evening breeze carries the scent of lilacs, as I write the simple truth that took 32 years to discover. The most valuable thing I've gained isn't this house. It's the knowledge that I matter too. I look up as the last light fades, watching fireflies begin their evening dance above my garden. For the first time in my life, I am perfectly at peace in my own space.